Tonight on Transporter, there's a Toyota Supra in Asphalt Legends Unite, there's a Toyota Camry in Need for Speed World, and there it is. It's finally time for Racing Master to join us. Plus, we've got all of the latest news, as well as the question we've been asking for a while. Where has Transporter been for the past 3 months? I'm DJ Atomica, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I know we've been gone for a while, but if you leave a like on this video and subscribe to us, we'll make sure you're notified on when our next big video goes live. With that said, let's get started.
So, let's get right into things and talk about racing games. There's been a falling out as of late, mostly with EA and racing games. Remember when they bought Codemasters and wanted to become the global hub of everything racing, where the FIA just took the WRC license away from the company, even though they were set to give us rally goodness for the next 3 or so years. It's not just simulated rally racing either. EA and Codemasters have paused all development on all types of rally racing indefinitely, so we may never see a Dirt 6 in the near future or at all. Let's not forget about Need for Speed either. NFS Unbound is the series' most successful post-launch supported game ever. However, unfortunately, the support for the game came to an end after Volume 9, and we may never see a new iteration until 2028 at the latest, all thanks to EA moving Codemasters and Criterion developers over to help create the new iteration of Battlefield.
Now, of course, they still have F1 thanks to the Codies, but as of this moment, that's the only new racing game that'll be published by EA when they decide to release a new Need for Speed. But besides that, the publisher has been losing licenses as of late. Remember Toyota? They had a whole debacle on Twitter so many years ago where the manufacturer went through a Ferrari phase of not wanting to see their cars customized or riced in video games, with Need for Speed cheekily calling them out on it. Well, Toyota came back to their senses after a few months and once again allowed racing games like Gran Turismo, Forza, Wangan Midnight, Tokyo Extreme Racer, and the Crew Motorfest to license their vehicles and customize them to our heart's content. Thanks to motorsport licensing, Toyota could very well be back with EA, as the Haas F1 team are sponsored by Toyota Gazoo Racing, and one of the Rally 1 cars for WRC for the past couple of seasons has been the Toyota GR. But even with that, we won't see a street Toyota in an EA racing game until very far in the future, and that's not good news for those who love MR2s, Celicas, A86s, GR86s, or Supras. Things get worse, because speaking of Supras, another racing game has acquired a Toyota license, and it could very well be Need for Speed's worst nightmare. Yep, this is the Toyota GR Supra, but this isn't Need for Speed, it's Asphalt Legends Unite. Formerly Asphalt 9 Legends, Asphalt Legends Unite, or ALE for short, is the new multi-console racer with almost 300 cars, over 100 routes, and way too many paywalls. This season that we're in is just about halfway done, and for the first time in a long time, it will feature Toyota. Now, this isn't Toyota's first rodeo with Gameloft and Asphalt. The A80 Supra was featured in Asphalt 8, but due to licensing issues, you couldn't purchase the car after a certain update, and it wasn't even featured in the Apple Arcade version of the game. Toyota are back, and the GR Supra is this season's Legend Pass car that you can guarantee everyone got their hands on. The GR Supra is a 4-star Class D car that prioritizes acceleration, handling, and nitro over top speed. But even at its rank, I think it's semi-underrated in comparison to other similarly ranked cars. And at max rank, the Supra will hit 183 miles per hour or 295 kilometers per hour, has a sub 80 acceleration stat, pretty grippy handling, and good drifting radius, and okay nitro efficiency. In rank online race, the car is actually pretty good, an easy to handle machine that may struggle a tad on tracks that prioritize top speed but is good everywhere else. The only other thing that I would watch out for in terms of this car is 2 other cars, the BMW i8 Roadster and the Honda Ioniq 5N. The Ioniq 5N might be higher ranked than the Supra, but it's severely underrated in comparison to other higher ranked Class D cars. Even the highest ranked one, the Camry Evo 37, the Supra, even in the most skilled hands, might find it a tad daunting to try and take down an Ioniq 5N. The i8 Roadster is another crazy underrated car as well, as it has slightly similar stats to the Supra, but is almost 200 points down in terms of rank due to its top speed. However, like the Ioniq 5N, the i8 Roadster has a perfect nitro boost that increases its top speed at max to 187 miles per hour or 301 kilometers per hour.
When taking this car online, you'll find it pretty usable in rank multiplayer, especially on balanced tracks. Like I said before, be mindful of the i8 Roadster and the Ioniq 5N as they are its greatest adversaries.
Now for the real reason why I've come back to Asphalt, no, it wasn't just for the Supra, but also to prove an important point regarding car ranking. You see, Asphalt are notorious for making certain cars look appealing by giving them incredibly high ranks within certain classes. But when it comes down to stats and how they drive, we find out that they're overrated. Elite races nowadays have become over-glorified contests of overrated cars in certain classes. That's why in weekly showdowns, the fastest of us like to switch to cars that actually overperform for their rank. For example, this week's showdown was in Paris, and even though the Evo 37 had the handling and acceleration to help, the Ioniq 5N, with its ballistic acceleration, great handling, and good nitro efficiency, was more than enough to achieve a very good time on the track.
So let's compare the Supra to other cars with similar ranking in classes C and D. Now, I did overclock the car in order to mimic some era of mixed performance, as I'm missing a couple of epic import parts for it. I will test it again officially once it's officially maxed out, but for now, we have to see where this car actually ranks in comparison to certain competition.
of the same games, stupid games. Secrets we share, spinning us now in circles, round in circles. So pretend to know me, yeah, 'cause we don't know one thing. The power that you lend
GR Supra. In comparison to similar ranked cars, isn't that bad at all, though we'll get to see on a global scale how it compares to the rest of Japan once we fully max it out later. In ranked multiplayer, it might be useful, but it'll have quite a challenge against the Ioniq 5N and a fully maxed IH Roadster. All in all, this is the biggest warning sign to EA and Need for Speed. If one of the prominent mobile rival racing games can secure Toyota, and they can't nor haven't for all this time, then they're truly doomed.
Doomed? More like cooked. This opens the floodgates for Gameloft because they can add anything now. It's not enough they added the spiritual electric successor to the LFA, but they could add the actual car in the future. They could also bring back the old Supra, a GT1, maybe some ISF, GSF, RCF, or some IS 500. There's legitimately no limit.
Let's not beat EA up just yet, though. There is a mobile version of Need for Speed out there in the wild. I'm not talking about No Limits either. I'm talking about the one developed by Timi Studios and distributed by Tencent if you live in China or Taiwan. There is one Toyota in that game, and it's the AE86 Sprinter Trueno, and they only added that as a collaboration between it and the popular racing anime Initial D. Since then, we haven't seen any other cars from the manufacturer make it to the game.
Well, you heard it here first. So EA, if you're watching, you know what you have to do. Bring yourselves back and bring Toyota back. We all miss you and them.
Isn't that why people have turned to modding Payback and even Unbound lately?
Well, that's part of it, but it's mostly due to the fact that despite the base work that was done to these past couple of games, the modding community felt that the game was capable of so much more, and they haven't been wrong since.
Well, let's hope they heed your advice. Anyway, on to the news, and as you heard, the big news is our boss, the Transporter, is back. So first off, how are you, my man, and where exactly have you been?
I've been working a lot. A lot. This semester of pharmacy school has been the hardest one to date, and amidst all the trials and tribulations I've experienced, I think I made it through to at least one more year of in-school learning before actual rotations. That being said, I do have one more thing that I need to handle before I'm absolutely sure. Still, I seriously need a break from schooling for at least a year. All this pharmacy stuff is messing with my mental health.
Well, we're not all similarly mentally strong, right? You know yourself better than anyone. And if you need that reprieve, then take it.
She's right. Better to make it through the program taking as much time as you needed with a healthy, functioning brain than to slip up and crash out in a new semester simply because you didn't let yourself rest.
Well, you heard it from them, boss. What are you gonna do?
I'll think about it, but I'm definitely gonna try and improve myself over the summer no matter what the outcome is.
That's good. Always keep yourself in mind.
All right, next up, we move back to Toyota because there's another one that was recently added to Asphalt that you've been driving, right?
Yep, it's the Toyota GR Super Sport concept. Basically, this car was supposed to be the road-going version of the GR010 Hybrid Le Mans hypercar that has been incredibly successful these last 4 years. In the game, it has the same ranking as the Piritelli Berlinetta and the McLaren Solus GT. All three cars are incredibly quick. However, while the Solus GT and Piritelli Berlinetta prioritize handling, the GR Super Sport is more of a top speed enthusiast. It's so much faster than either of them, but with below average nitrous and questionable handling, this car is probably only best on straight oriented tracks rather than technical ones where the other two shine.
Well, that sucks. This thing is practically a race car.
Yep, if anything, it would have been a modern day interpretation of the Toyota GT1. Remember how they introduced the race and street versions of the car and how both looked pretty much identical to each other, minus the antennas, the missing seat, or the racing slicks?
When are they gonna put that legend of a car in another game? Hey, the Crew Motorfest, we're looking at you, Buster!
All right. Calm down there, Striker. We know it's a pretty awesome thing, but you don't have to be so hyped about it.
Honestly, I would get hyped about it. Remember, the Crew Motorfest are good at adding the cars we want, and even though I'm still waiting on the back mono to appear, they've still got lots of awesome cars in their bank that they can add. And I know it's specifically requested the GT1 road car for the hypercar discipline since they have a license to Toyota now.
Anywho, what's so special about the GR Supersport being in Asphalt?
Well, there's a Grand Prix going on with this car, and I'm sort of doing okay, but I'm up against two Asphalt aliens from Turkey and another competitor from Ukraine as I vie for a top 5 finish. I really want to review this car and realistically compare it to the Pure Italia and the Solus GT so you can see for yourself the differences between certain cars' ranking.
Well, here's hoping you finish in that top 5. We know how talented you are. So next up, a bit of good news, bad news. Tokyo Extreme Racer, which was supposedly scheduled to enter full release this summer or so, has been pushed back to late September of this year. It sucks, because it would have been our go-to summer game this year. But it's great, because they're adding a lot more features to their amazing game, right?
Yep, as we see here, they want to add more tuning features such as engine conversion. I'm thinking that's their way of saying engine swaps, as well as the ability to changing the water and oil temperature in your car. I mean, we only get that in Gran Turismo right now, other than the past versions of TXR, so they're being incredible for this. Also, they want to improve AI behavior and the game's UI, redesign the park and skill tree, which is something I've currently been dying for them to improve because, you know me, I want to earn everything, and they want to let us tune and upgrade rival cars we buy or win from the shop, as well as balance the game as a whole. Wow. They've got a lot to do.
Striker, you're being relatively enthusiastic today, though I think you forgot that they also want to add the Steam-linked basics like achievements, record rankings, replay functionality, all that stuff.
Yeah, plus they've got more licensing agreements to settle because clearly we're missing one more prominent Japanese manufacturer from this game, Honda. Moreover, there could be a possibility that we could see other manufacturers outside of Japan make it to the game. I mean, they've done it before.
So, Genki Racing Project, if you're watching this, take all the time you need. You're right now saving the racing game genre this year, and we here at Transporter are eternally grateful. So moving on, this is a bit of a packed Toyota episode today because we're going back to Need for Speed with another Toyota, though not the Toyota you're expecting.
No, your eyes are not deceiving you. What you are indeed looking at here is a Toyota Camry in Need for Speed World. Thanks to the guys at the Spark Server, you can now race one of the most popular everyday family sedans in the world all over Rockport and Palmont, and it's a good thing it's been immortalized here. To be fair, we have Turn 10 Studios to thank, as they initially added this car to Forza Horizon 5 and the rebooted Forza Motorsport, which allowed the Spark Server guys to convert it for Need for Speed. The Camry is in its top-of-the-line TRD trim, which sports a 3.5-liter V6 with over 300 horsepower, all channeled to the front wheels via an 8-speed automatic transmission. It was the coolest iteration of the Camry Toyota ever made, which is also sad because the current Camry has followed the example of their competition, the Honda Accord, by making it hybrid only with a 4-cylinder and, dare I say it, a CVT transmission.
What?
Ugh, that's gross.
They couldn't try to make it the least bit sporty? I mean, yeah, they have the Supra, the GR86, and the GR Corolla. Heck, they still have TRD trucks like the Tacoma, 4Runner, Sequoia, and Tundra. They couldn't even try to make the Camry a little more exciting?
Well, Toyota, financially and socially, aren't in as much trouble as Nissan is. And even though they want to make exciting cars again, it would have been cool if they kept the TRD Camry. Anywho, you should be glad that it's in Forza and this NFS. Moreover, it comes with the wide body kit that was first seen in Forza Horizon 5. So why am I reviewing this Camry? Well, I'm trying to find out which super saloon is seriously fast in A-Class on this server. And so far, it might be the M5 CS, though I need to see how the Vauxhall Lotus Carlton handles when I drive it again. Though to be fair, if the Camry had better handling and all-wheel drive, it would have been an absolute monster because at its max A-Class rating, it's the fastest front-wheel drive car in the game with a max top speed of 234 miles per hour, which is faster than most supercars at the same rating. The thing is though, that's just top speed, as its handling and acceleration don't help it all too much, which is why when you compare it against another TRD car in the game, the Toyota Supra TRD Turbo, this is the result.
So the Camry TRD is without a doubt pretty fast, but the Supra is just a monster in A-Class. It is, however, pretty interesting to see a Camry in a Need for Speed game, and as I said before, racing games need more unique everyday saloons. It shouldn't be all about GT3 cars and exotics, which is why Gran Turismo updates are just so unique, and why I'm pretty proud of Forza for adding this and the iconic JZX100 Mark II to their games. So far, Overdrive are the only Soapboxer server to have a Chaser/JZX100, and with the Mark II now in Forza, I'm seriously wondering what every one of the modders watching this are waiting for.
Yes, more Chasers, more Crowns, more Crestas, more sporty/luxury saloons. I love it.
He loves it.
I'm loving it too. We could use a Nissan Laurel or a Nissan President or even the Toyota Century. Seriously, these guys have those licenses on lock. What's stopping them?
We don't know, but hopefully they'll be listening to us. So, last but not least for today, let's talk about mobile racing games. If you head to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, you'll see the usual suspects occupying top racing game boards. Of course, I'm talking about Asphalt Legends Unite, Need for Speed No Limits, and CSR Racing 2. Say what you want about them, despite the paywalls, there are still a good number of people who play these games on their iPhones or Androids. The thing is, we've always wanted more out of these games. More versatility, more graphic prowess, more impressive features. For example, there are only 2 prominent open-world mobile racers that you can get right now for free on your mobile phones, and they're CarX Street and Drive Zone Online.
Well, when we say that, we obviously mean it in a global sense, but say you live in Asia, primarily China and or Taiwan, you most likely have access to some exclusive mobile racers that have open world capabilities, primarily Need for Speed Mobile, or Need for Speed Assemble as it's known over there, and Racing Master. Remember last year when we did a whole special detailing these 3 mobile racers? So far, only one of them is available globally, CarX Street. It's even been ported onto the PC. We were supposed to expect Need for Speed Mobile to release this fall, but as of the closed betas that we were let into, we haven't heard any more news of any global launch for the game, and to be honest, this should be something EA looks into if they ever want to salvage their NFS fanbase after the end of Unbound. That leaves us with Racing Master, and that game has been live in China, Taiwan, Japan, and the Southeast Asian region for quite some time now. Even though the guys at NetEase gave us a North American version of one of their beta builds, they've yet to announce when we would expect to see a North American version of the game anytime soon. And that's alright for now, because even if you live in North America, you can play Racing Master on your PC or mobile phone right now.
If you're a mobile phone player, you'll have to switch stores on your iPhone, but not so much your Android or your PC. And the thing is though, if you've been wanting to play this game on the PC, it's pretty simple. If you head to Racing Master's official Discord, there are download links to the versions they have available, primarily the ones in Chinese, Taiwanese, and Japanese. The one you download is the Japanese one. Now don't fret, because even though the audio of the characters and such is in Japanese,
レーシンググループは少し特殊で、訓練中の新人には運転する資格がないんです。
ビッグ3チームが恒例で開催している大会よ。
でも負けてしまった場合はどうなるの？
R3 チャンピオンカップは第2シーズンから始まる。規定に基づき各チームはそれぞれ2名のレーサーを派遣する必要がある。
you can switch the UI and subtitles to English so you'll be able to understand things. If you're looking for a completely English experience, then you download the Southeast Asian version of the game.
Impressive performance for an invitational. You've definitely got potential. Just keep practicing. You can find Haley to claim your extreme car. She should have completed all your paperwork.
Thanks, Coach.
There's a specific Discord for the SEA version of Racing Master where there'll be a download link to where you can download the client on your PC. For both versions, they say you need a VPN in order to log in and play the game, but in reality, you don't.
So if you've never heard of Racing Master before, it's a mobile and PC racing game developed by NetEase Games, the same guys responsible for Ace Racer, that arcade racer that kind of just fell off in the popular multiplayer team shooter Marvel Rivals. The thing is, NetEase collaborated directly with Codemasters to help produce this game, and you can easily tell because a good number of tracks that have been staples of the Race Driver Grid series are also available in Racing Master, primarily Chicago, San Francisco, and Barcelona. They also feature some actual real-world racing circuits such as Yas Marina, Shanghai International Circuit, Indianapolis, and others. You can even race on the Shuto Expressway in Tokyo or even on Mount Haruna in Gunma. The graphics are one of the best experienced on a mobile phone, and they rival that of CSR Racing 2 or even CSR Racing 3's level of photorealistic detail. But what makes this game better is that it's not just about racing in a straight line. Like, you're racing and drifting on different tracks around the world. Right now, the number of cars available depend on what region you play the game on. Like, there are certain cars that are available in the Japanese version of the game that aren't in the SEA version. For example, SEA benefits from having Hyundai with the Veloster N and the Ioniq 5N if you happen to unlock it. Also, if you were lucky, the SEA version benefited from the Toyota Sprinter Trueno GT Apex AE86, which, like NFS Mobile, coincided with their collaboration with Initial D. The thing is though, unlike Need for Speed, Racing Master as a whole have the Toyota license on lock because recently the Japanese version of the game introduced the GR Supra, a legendary sports car which you can only win in Gacha, Racing Master's equivalent of CSR Racing 2's rare imports. Customization wise, for a mobile racer, it's a lot more in-depth than Need for Speed No Limits, Need for Speed Mobile, or CSR Racing 2. Now, granted, some cars don't have body kits at the moment, most notably the Volvo V60 Polestar or the Toyota GR Supra. But you can still fit custom wings, exhaust, front splitters, rear diffusers, and side skirts. But there's more. The game comes with its own vinyl editor. Plus, you can fit tire sidewall decals, different roof toppings, including a ski rack or even a safety car light bar, or rear decorations, including a mounted camera for extra effect. You can even fiddle with the stance of your car by giving us coilovers or air suspension, or even adjust the front and rear track and give your car some wheel spacers. We've never been able to do this officially in an NFS game since NFS 2015, and the only other racing game that allowed us to do this is CarX Street, so this is a plus for them. Speaking of official, there are some cars with official body kits like the Liberty Walk kit for the R35 GTR, and besides the self-designed rims that you can get in the customization studio, there are official ones from 3SDM, HRE, and Rotiform, with more coming soon.
Unlike Asphalt or Need for Speed, you don't need blueprints to unlock cars in the game. Going through missions will secure 3 cars for you depending on your region. If you play in Japan, you'll start out with the Mazda MX-5 Miata ND. If you play in Southeast Asia, you'll start out with the BMW 330i M Sport sedan. From there, you can go through about 158 different missions, which take you through most of the features in the story in the game, which will help you unlock the Ford Mustang GT and its body kit and the Aston Martin DB11 and its body kit. Now, I did mention Gacha earlier, but not in detail. As I said before, Gacha is the equivalent of CSR Racing 2's rare imports. In past betas, it was known as the RM Auto Expo, but I guess they decided that Gacha had more pizzazz or something. Anywho, the logic behind it is really similar to CSR Racing 2. You can win silver or red keys by completing challenges via the Master Pass missions or certain achievements, or you could just buy some from the online store. In past betas, keys would rarely get you cars for your garage. Now though, whether it be a silver or red key, if you use either of them at Gacha, you're guaranteed a new car for your garage. Now, obviously, you should expect to receive duplicates depending on how many times you pull them from Gacha, since you can't sell cars in the game, nor can you save duplicates like you can in CSR Racing 2. Whatever duplicate you pull at Gacha will be turned into blueprints for upgrading the ECU for your car. A higher level ECU means more power, which also means better performance. If you do a 10 draw, you're guaranteed a rarity car from Gacha. And if you reach 100 draws in total, you're guaranteed a special legendary car. Every number of draws you do at Gacha also nets you LP tickets, which you can also exchange for a random legendary car in the permanent expo
or a specific car from the designated expo. In this case, I used my 160 tickets to net me the GR Supra. Be warned though, some of the designated expos are only live for a limited amount of time. So like the early beta, as the story of the game is pretty similar. You're a hotshot racer racing for Pioneer Juniors on your way to becoming an actual racing master. Beside you is the beautiful Gloria, your racing coach, and Haley, your spunky assistant. You'll have the chance to drive against other rivals that are on the same team as you, as well as race other unique individuals in some incredible machines. I haven't finished the story yet for either version, but here's hoping there's more to it than what we experienced in the betas.
There are a lot of areas to win rewards in, whether it's completing driving school missions or setting records by learning different tracks, or even just logging in every day and completing objectives as seen in the Rush Fest or the Master Pass. You'll always be earning gold to customize cars and diamonds for visual customization and gacha key conversion. The real crux of the game is the RMGP, or the game's online racing mode. Whether you're racing solo or with a team, you'll always find opponents to go up against. Although, for the most part, I haven't really been facing competitive opponents. It just seems everyone's either just driving around or doing nothing at all. You'll find more serious drivers on the Japanese server than the CA server when racing in online ranked matches, though I think you'll probably find more when you reach higher leagues.
Plus, it's not like they can disturb how you race either, as this game has a pretty adequate ghosting feature, similar or rather better than that of Forza Horizon or Forza Motorsport, where it can detect an incoming collision and ghost your car, so that your racing isn't disturbed at all. To be fair, it just feels as if you're mostly ghost racing online, though that isn't really a bad thing. Well, at least it isn't for me. Coming from Forza Horizon, Gran Turismo, and Asphalt, games truly need a more adequate ghosting feature because, let's face it, you're gonna find rammers everywhere and they'll always be toxic. You definitely do not want your race to be ruined by some genius who just rams you off the road.
Physics-wise, not much has changed since the early betas. The fastest way to go in this game is with drifting. It's definitely not on-rails drifting like Need for Speed games, specifically Hot Pursuit 2010 Up to Heat. But it still is the best way to go around tracks. It still feels a little tricky, but it's something that you can master and get used to. Moreover, it's not all about keeping your foot down on the throttle. So my suggestion to you guys is, if you're racing competitively, turn auto accelerate off. The game's physics is rather peculiar in a way that in order to make drifts work to your advantage, you'll need to be mindful of throttle usage. That's why this game features an analog throttle like in other prominent racing games, and yes, you can even make that possible on your mobile phone as well. The best part about this game, little to no paywalls. Yup, even if you complete all on 58 missions, you'll have a lot of gold, diamonds, and keys that you can use to customize and upgrade cars, earn cars from gacha, and do other things. It's not obsessively grindy like Asphalt, CSR Racing 2, or Need for Speed, and you don't have to pay for anything if you don't want to. Now granted, there are some pretty cool cars that you can earn from premium master passes, and those don't cost too much no matter where you play the game at. And even if you have an itch to top up your premium diamonds, the game rewards you rather well with other exclusive incentives. For example, if you're playing on the SEA servers, every time you top up, you increase your VIP level, which grants added incentives like more gold and diamonds and cheaper in-game prices of things. No matter where you are, however, whenever you top up, you'll receive interesting additional rewards like the Nissan GT RR35 and its Liberty Walk body kit. Some extra keys, as well as your choice of legendary vehicle, whether it be the John Cooper Works Mini, the E89 BMW Z4 Strive 35, or the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 3. I know I mentioned that the game features very photorealistic, detailed cars, but did I mention that there's also some interesting avatar models? We've been here before, it seems. NetEase and other developers overseas are just extremely good in creating beautifully and perfectly proportional character models.
So much so that there's still a debate going on right now that questions if Western developers, Europe and North America mostly, have the right to design certain character models when Asian developers keep knocking it out of the park. I mean, I don't want to compare the short-lived Concord to, say, the first Descendant or Marvel Rivals, or rather the models used in Need for Speed Unbound to Need for Speed Mobile, or even this game, but I think you get the idea. You can make your character as pretty as you want, whether it be guy or girl, and even though everyone is wearing a racing suit when racing in the car, when cruising in different areas, and yes, you can cruise in different areas of the world, which partially makes this an open world racer, you'll have your decorated avatar behind the wheel. Things get even better if you play in the Japanese server, as they've been having their fair share of collaborations where you can earn exclusive body kits to cars and exclusive avatars. For example, earlier in this game's live racing master collaborated with Tokyo Ghoul, allowing you to earn avatars of characters from the popular series like Ken Kaneki, Toka Kirishima, Rizei Kamashiro, and more. Just recently, the game finished its collaboration with New Genesis Evangelion, allowing you to earn custom body kits for the Skyline GTR R34, Alfa Romeo Giulia QV, and the Alfa Romeo 4C, as well as avatars to characters from the popular series including Shinji Ikari, Rei Ayanami, Asuka Langley Soryu, and Misato Katsuragi. There was a lot to do during that promotional period, including earning enough buildable parts to unlock an old Fiat 500. But yeah, lots of interesting models in this game, and here's hoping whatever collaboration they secure next for the Japanese server is something interesting. All in all, no matter what region you play on, there's always something to do in Racing Master. It's a very big game, and here's hoping that a North American version of it eventually comes out. Though to be fair, I probably shouldn't have waited this long to jump into a game that I've been patiently waiting for to come over to our neck of the woods. People might question the physics or the way the story flows, but as a free-to-play racer, it's one of the best, if not the best, I've experienced so far, and it mostly has to do with the fact that there are no paywalls and things are cheap. I mean, Gameloft are now starting to get it that people don't like paying for things all the time thanks to these new spotlight events, but they still keep implementing paywall methods just to grab more out of you. The same can be said of the other racing games I've mentioned. This isn't the case with Racing Master. The game rewards you with plenty, enough that you can get through all of the missions and the story for free, and they make paying for things optional. Sure, you might find it easier to or cooler to top up diamonds to get that exclusive legendary car or that awesome body kit for a certain car, but it's always an option, never mandatory. As long as they keep this up, this game will be goated.
Is there a 911 GT3 RS in there?
Not yet. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did add it to the game eventually.
Why isn't EA bringing Need for Speed Mobile over here? I mean, it's been long enough. We could use another big-name open-world racer for our mobile phones.
Isn't that more of a ask-them question?
It is definitely an ask-them question, because the only racing game we're getting from EA this year is F1 25. No Limits is still pushing out updates, and they've even added a crew feature not too long ago, but in terms of something brand new, it's just F1. They really need to decide what they truly want to do with Need for Speed as a whole, because other than the modding community who will attempt to keep Unbound and older games fresh, this 3 to 5 year NFS drought will be felt amongst the street racing game fans.
Well, they could hand the franchise off to Nacon and Kyloton. What?
No, just no.
And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you loved what you saw, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to us, as it really helps us to continue to do what we do best.
Plus, now that I'm back to making vids, you'll definitely see more solo stuff from here on out. I mean, I've got a lot of Racing Master to upload after this, and Japanese Drift Master is coming out, or is already out by the time you watch this. With all that said, on behalf of Atomica, Wixie, Max, and Striker, I'm the Transporter, and we hope to see you again in our next video. We'll see you next time!